everyone, and welcome to another episode of OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast. Our regionals and a special event just happened, and LAIC is just around the corner. There is so much to talk about, so let's get right into it. My name is Sierra Dawn. I'm one of the hosts, joined here by my co-host, Joe Brown. Hello, Joe. Oh, you have the Tyranitar, the
Yes.
Las Vegas Tyranitar.
Yes, Len made it home, very safe. He was in my luggage, so he's all good and at his comfortable spot on my desk. But yeah, listen, it was a lot easier for me to get home than for you to get to Brazil. How was your travel?
It was a long travel, so I mean, we were both at Vegas, and I decided to just go straight to Brazil. So I have not gone home. I have not really gotten to sleep much. I did not sleep well on the plane. So all for the love of the game, right? There was quite a few players that are doing the same out there. So really going for the path of a Pokemon master out here, travel far and wide across the land, all that great stuff. So it'll be good.
I mean, you are experiencing the grind, right? That all these other players who go from regionals to ICs are, and I'm happy you're actually playing. Like, I know it would have been fun to go to an IC in general, but like the fact that you're going to play this weekend too gets me excited.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect much out there. Nobody expect anything. I know production was already like, "Hey, we'll grab you for broadcast round one," and it's like, "Oh, please don't!" Like you're going to see a pretty quick loss out here, but. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about for LAIC. I mean, I think in the spirit of being in Brazil and LAIC here, I mean, that's all I'm thinking about. So you want to talk about that first?
Absolutely. I think we're going to flip the script where we usually save our predictions for every event at the end of the episodes. None of the listeners, they're not expecting this. We're going to start this episode, Sierra, with our LAIC predictions. I think literally for the first time ever. This is out of nowhere.
Just get to the meat and potatoes of it, right? But I mean, I feel like too for the LASC predictions, it's going to be questions that kind of are going to be our talking points anyways to really talk about it. So like instead of just having the most obvious prediction answers ever, like we might as well do this to have a little bit of suspense.
Exactly. All right. So, for those who don't know, before big events here on the podcast, we always do our predictions. Most of the time it's for fun. Sometimes we put a plushie on the line. I still owe Sierra a plushie, by the way. We totally did not go and get one this weekend. Totally forgot to. But this one is just for fun. No plushies on the line here in this one, and just for bragging rights to see who is the most correct at predicting what will happen at LAIC this weekend. Our first question, Sierra, is what will Golden Go's day one usage be? This is a Pokemon that has pretty consistently over the last maybe 4 or 5 events had nearly about 39 to 44% day one usage at pretty much every event. So it feels like a tight window, but it gives us a good answer, a good spot to guess.
So I think with the fact that it's an international championships, you get to see those differences from regionals into internationals, right? With just the fact that there's going to be a lot more of these top players that are chasing their world invites coming in to compete, right? So I'm expecting the teams on day one to be a little bit more meta leaning. So I'm going to say, you said it was 38 last time?
Well, technically Vegas it was. I think it's 41. I'm going to scroll real quick because that's the most recent event. And so it was 40.6, and then day 2 was also 41. So that's like pretty consistently 40-ish% of the field.
I'm going to say it's a little higher. I'm going to say 40, like 44, 45%. So I think it's just going to be all the Golden Goes everywhere here.
I think that's probably like the safe. If I was playing and I was team building, I would expect to see, at least half the teams are going to play have a Golden Go. But I'm just going to dip it down a little bit lower because LAIC, I don't know the exact number of players for it this weekend, but it is usually a little bit less than NAIC or EUIC. And I think that also messes with percentages a lot, right? When there's less people, the influx of how many people are using a Pokemon can change its percentage. So because of that, I think there could be some wackier strategies that help lower that number. And I'll go 36% on the Golden Go day 1. Day 2, it's going to be up there. Don't worry. But I think day 1, it might be a little more broad.
I'm just waiting for it to be exactly 41, exactly what you said, and neither of us got it right because we both decided to do something completely different. That's fine.
Hey, that's what happens. We're predicting from the heart. You gotta give what we feel.
All right, next one.
Second prediction: what percentage of Top Cut teams will have an Incineroar on them? This is a more fun way of asking, because when you look at the recent events, it's not like it's not like how many Incineroar will be in Top Cut. It's like how many of the teams, because it's so overwhelming. I think it was something like 75% of teams had Incineroar in Top Cut in Vegas. Yeah, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's 10 or 11 in the top 13 of Vegas region. I mean, Buenos Aires had 4 as well in the top 8. Like, so it's not like the question's not how if it will do well. It's how well will Incineroar do. What's the percentage of teams with Incineroar in Top Cut?
Like top cut or top 8?
Top Cut as a whole, yeah. Which I think it can max out at top 16, right?
I'm gonna say 70% of teams. Before the LAIC preview show, I did like a little player survey, and I asked what the strongest Pokemon was in Regulation H. And across the board, people agreed that it was Blood Moon Ursaluna, but there was answers for Incineroar saying that maybe even if it isn't the strongest, it's like such a staple piece on these teams. So I'm gonna say 70%. It's just a good Pokemon.
That Blood Moon's an interesting call out too, because in when we recap the Buenos Aires special event, 5 of the top 8 teams had a Blood Moon Ursaluna down there, and that is the LATAM region players, right? So for me, yeah, I think it's going to be super high too. I'd go like 80%. I really think Incineroar is such an incredible Pokemon. I don't know how people build teams without it. It's such a crutch at this point. You see at 60% usage in day 2 in Vegas, like it's just such an incredible Pokemon, and I don't expect anyone to stop using it at this point.
Honestly.
All right,
what's
next one up. Now, this is a somber one for us here. But last year at NAIC, there were no North Americans in top 8. It was heartbreaking. So that's the question. How many NA players will be in top 8? We did have 4 in Top Cut as a whole, like the asymmetrical Top Cut for LAIC last year, but they all lost that round, so they didn't get into top 8.
I mean, you say that like, oh no, at NAIC we had none in top 8. Like there wasn't 3 in top 4 of Worlds. First off, like you gotta come on. Oh no, we had 2 Americans in the grand finals of the World Championships. We're so hard done by. I mean, looking at the event, I think Top Cut. I don't know. Like, it's one event. Everyone's like, where's North America? It's one event. Come on. And I think, too, the back-to-back with Las Vegas is going to be really nice. It's a lot of travel, but players are going to be really, really well prepped, which I think does favor not just NA, but LATAM, considering they just had a special championships. So I'll say 7, assuming Top Cut's like a 12-14.
No. Well, hold on, no. It's we're just talking top 8, not all of Top Cut.
Okay. Yeah. All right, then not quite 7. We'll say.
That'd be impressive if it was 7 of 8.
We'll say 3. I think 3 is a good number for top 8.
Okay, that's a pretty good performance out of us too. I would say. I think I'm going to go 1 less. I'm going to say 2. So I'm still hopeful that we'll have some representation, and who knows. But with one of my answers to a prediction later on, you're going to see why I think LATAM is going to pop off this year and definitely be the most represented. So I can't say NA is going to have more than LATAM will. So I'll go with 2 players, but I hope it is 7. That would be cool.
Of course you would.
All right, this is a question that is truly not going to matter whatsoever. It's not going to have any impact. I don't think we're going to expect to see this Pokemon perform well whatsoever at LAIC. However, Charizard did win LAIC last year on Marco's team, and it has been kind of replaced by Hisuian Typhlosion and all these other Sun abusers. But what will be the highest placing Charizard team? Like, you don't have to say top 4, or you could say top 256 if you want, if you think nobody's going to use it. I just think this is fun because, like, it was doing nothing all Scarlet and Violet. Then it wins an IC. Then it goes back into its cave waiting for Megas to come back.
I mean, the thing is, it depends on who's brave enough to play it, because Marco's Sun is I mean, it's not the most popular team, but it's still out there. Like Federico piloted it to a top 8 as of like, wasn't it Gdansk? So if a player like Bede is showing up with it, well, then I think it can get top cut, top 8. But if all of a sudden these players don't want to pick up on it, then that drastically changes the result, right? So I don't know. I guess I'll split the difference and take top 64. But there's a couple players that if they show up with Charizard, I'll just lose the prediction question outright because I think it is like strong. Maybe it's a little dated, but I like the fact that he recently got a result with it. I think kind of is proof in the pudding.
Yeah, and I think Charizard more than the other sun abusers was hurt by the popularity of Rain, especially with Pelipper and Archaludon and stuff. And Archaludon straight up fell off the usage graphic in day 2 in Vegas. Like it was 19% day 1, and then it was under Torkoal in day 2 to show just how far Rain has fallen. Pelipper fell off too. So I think that is a good sign for Charizard as a whole that Ninetales is higher and Torkoal, and there's not
Sun
as
was
much
also
rain
just
going around.
popping off at Las Vegas. Like it was something else.
So I think the other thought too is technically we're not tracking the juniors division, but our juniors champion in Las Vegas also used Marco's Sun team for his championship. Yeah. Marco was his coach, coaching him along the way there. So I'll go one step forward. I'll say top 32. I think like there could be one player that maybe gets 28th or something like that because they're just committed to the Charizard bit, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay. Again, after day 1, seeing who shows up with Charizard, that's when I want to actually have my answer. You know, I want to see who's playing it first.
All right, we technically have 3 more questions. I only sent Sierra 6, but I have a secret 7th question that'll be at the end that I want to see her reaction on. So this is question number 5. Higher day 2 usage, Sneasler or Dragonite? For context, they were both pretty much 26 or 27% usage the last couple of events.
I'm going to say Sneasler. I think that Sneasler is just really strong into this meta still. I mean, Emmanuel's Sneasler team is just so incredibly strong. And I think, too, that it's one of those teams that a lot of top trainers could still be on. And I think it's going to be very successful. So I'm going to say Sneasler. Easy.
See, this is easy for me in the other direction. I'm all in on the Dragonite train. Like, that's why I wore the Dragonite pin on Saturday, on stream. And I think that just how strong, not just the loaded dice scale shot damages, but the speed boost for tail end and everything. Like, I think Dragonite, there's a chance Dragonite can get up to like 35% usage. Like, I really do think that it has that high of a chance of being so good. And even from the stream match we saw, where it was just like the extreme speed back and forth. Like, I think there's just so much potential with Dragonite right now. Sneasler feels like you got to find it in the right position. You want to have it with a Psychic Seed or Grassy Seed, or like you kind of have to have a dedicated mode to making the Sneasler work. Where I feel like Dragonite, you could just slap that baby on any team and start to throw those dice.
Okay, let's get on to the next question because I'm curious what the secret one is, and we got a lot to talk about this week, and I need to know what's the next question.
Yes. All right, so this is usually our last question of every prediction show: is who will win the Latin America International Championships? We have technically never gotten this right, although Justin Cares did get it right with Wolf and EUIC last season, but us two, as the hosts, have never correctly predicted the winner.
Yeah. All right. Do you have an answer first? I'll be so gracious. I'll be very upset if you steal my answer though, because I've been thinking about this.
I hope I'm stealing your answer here because I'm locking in Juan Salerno.
No, that is my answer.
Okay. First of all, Juan and I just followed each other on Twitter back and forth. So now we're officially friends, I would say. Before I was just a fan from afar. Now I could consider Juan a friend. He's a great player. He just got just top cut the Buenos Aires special event as well last weekend. And, truly not just one of the best players in LATAM, but truly one of the best trainers in all of VGC on the planet right now. So if I had to bet my life, I already said LATAM is going to pop off at LASC this year, and I'm going with Juan.
I need to stop letting anyone else answer the predictions question before I do, because the amount of times I had the answer stolen is crazy.
You're too kind. That's what gets you.
Yeah, I mean, the fourth place into the second place is just, yeah, no, I think he has a really good shot to win it. Okay. I'm kind of going back and forth between a few options right now because I want to pick Aladdin Player because it's LAIC, and I do think it is well over deserved, right? But I don't know. I love the storylines, everything else. I love the concept and the idea that there could be a three-peat here with Marco Silva winning LAIC yet again, back to back to back. He just won a regional, so obviously he's capable of it, right? We already knew he's capable of it. So yeah, I mean, the, sure, like nobody thought he would win twice back to back, right? So even if no one thinks he can win three times back to back, then certainly he can. So
Yeah, I mean, this is arguably Marco's tournament to win, right? He won LASC in the same format last year. He just won a regional in this format. I mean, this is essentially regulation Marco at this
yeah,
point.
the only thing, the reason he wasn't, I think, number one on my predictions is there was the joke after he got second place at a regional right before his LAIC win last year that he's only allowed to win one event per season, like one major event per season.
Yeah.
And then he already won a major event this season, right? So I don't know if he's like used up his luck or what, but I believe. I believe.
All right, now it's time for our secret prediction question, and I'm so excited for this. And we're gonna keep track of it. We're gonna maybe this will put an energy drink on the line or something. Not a full plush, but we'll have this prediction actually matter, Sierra. This
Okay.
is the end of Regulation H. This is the final chance for Regulation Sneasler to do something exciting. So our final prediction question is: what will be the final Dire Claw status effect on stream this weekend? So we don't care what happens in round one. We don't care if it's in the finals or top four. Whenever the last time Dire Claw activates a status effect, you got a 1 in 3 chance of being right here, Sierra.
Throwback to when Regulation H started, and we asked James Evans what would be the first status that happened on broadcast. And I forget if he said sleeper paralysis, but then it was Joe Garte's game that was the first game on broadcast with dire status
Yeah,
effect, and then Joe lost the game because of that. So that was, ooh, that was crazy one. So this seems fitting to be ending it off. I think sleep, and I think it's going to be game deciding. Just easy peasy. It's Sneasler. It's one of its favorite things to do is to completely change the game. So
I think I'm locking in. I'm locking in paralysis. I think it's better for us to be rooting for different Dire Claw status effects on this very important prediction. So it would be funny to be like in top 8, like someone gets asleep, and then I'm like, oh no, now I hope somebody else has a Sneasler that makes it through the top 4 finals just to get one more Dire Claw chance at a paralysis, just to prove myself right.
oh my goodness. So it'll be interesting. Watch you be poisoned, and we're not right. But I mean, I'll make sure in the Discord, guys, to let us know your predictions, especially to who's going to win, because that one's really interesting to hear like people's perspectives on. But we have a lot more to talk about with LIC. So where do we want to start? I think a really fun place is the fact that it's back-to-back events. We don't really have them with regionals into international events. And I think it's a really interesting concept. We got to see a really big spike of international players at Las Vegas because they're all doing that back to back. And that also means we gotten very recent results for some top trainers that are heading into LATAM. I mean, even with the Buenos Aires Special Championship. So I feel like this LASC is going to be just more hype than the other ones. It's always a fun event, but this is everyone's like at top of their game, end of the regulation.
Yeah, I think for me, like I'm kind of torn on the back-to-back events, right? Because it's like, man, it is a lot of traveling, but it is also like the purest, like fun and appreciation of competitive Pokemon that we have. That like somebody like Yuma or Shioma, they come from Japan to play in Vegas so that they can be closer and then play in Brazil the next week, or someone like Oliver Escalade coming to Vegas and then play all these European events, all the LATAM special events back to back. It does make it. I think the skill is going to be at the highest it can be, right? Like we've now had probably like 8 months combined of Regulation H between the two times we've had this format. So the skill ceiling is really at its highest peak that we've probably seen for some of the formats we've had in Scarlet and Violet. So overall, I do think this is going to be a pretty memorable weekend.
It's interesting too because we've had 8 months of this regulation, but it's also still a regulation that gets different teams, right? I mean, we keep talking about Marco winning a regional. It was with Rabombi and Como, which is crazy at this point in the metagame, right? And then Las Vegas had this Hizui and Lillian Torkoal team. We've seen a little bit of some teams, right? But we haven't seen this version of it. And it took over the event. Like, that was the team to be beating going into the weekend. So it's interesting because even though we've had this much of the metagame and it seemed like a lot of things were relatively solved, it kind of just got cracked open quite again. So I'm curious going into the weekend if it's just going to be like a Las Vegas repeat in terms of the metagame, or if it's going to be something completely new.
Yeah, and one of my favorite adaptations we saw throughout the weekend was Life Orb Amoongus with Leaf Storm. That was, I mean, just going offensive all the way in and taking down those Blood Moon Ursalunas. Like, I just thought that was so cool. And one thing that Dewey and I talked about during some downtime over the weekend was that a lot of people's frustration points with Regulation H the first go around was how defensive it was. And like, especially in Pittsburgh, if you remember, people were like, man, it feels really tough to do damage in this format properly, like to hit the right target. And I think as the format has progressed, and especially last weekend in Vegas, like it's become more hyper offensive with these Torkoal, Sicilian Lilligan, Typhlosion teams, right? We're not just trying to stall with Archaludon anymore and get to +6 and body press everything. And Dondozo, we didn't see a single Dondozo on stream all weekend, right? We're going now. Yes, maybe the finals match took a while to get that final KO because we're doing 10 HP Ice Beam, or 10 damage Ice Beams to get the W. But for the most part, I like faster paced formats, and I think Regulation H is starting to get back up to an aggressive format.
Yeah, and it's like a mix of both too, right? Because we got to see the Hizui and Lilligan Typhlosion Torkoal team kind of fall a little flat when it went up against a more defensive team and couldn't just freely quick eruption as easily, right? But then got to see in game 2, it kind of like did snowball along. So that'll be really interesting, especially too since there's the adaptations in the meta game, but then also it's going to be a mixing of like different regional metas because, okay, Las Vegas they met, but then we also got to see some crazy things at the Buenos Aires like special championships, right? Like there was a Ludicolo double weather in top 4. Well, yeah, what is this? It was also from a player traveling internationally from Italy to then go over there. So I mean, it's really, really cool. So I'm kind of, it's all over the place.
All right, I hope this is working because usually Sierra handles this stuff, and I'm terrible at it. So hopefully, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is the Buenos Aires special event. Congratulations to Kenneth Gamboa for winning. As we mentioned, Juan Salerno finishing second. Has Sneasler and Dragonite on his team, by the way. So, we're both looking good for that prediction. But this top 4 team from Gilberto Garachi is absolutely insane. You got Ludicolo, Politoed, Gothitelle, Blaziken, Kanto, Ninetales, and so then cool. The Archaludon.
No, I
think here we go. This is insane.
This is crazy. I mean, this is not really a take on Sun that I would have expected, but I'm here for it. Like, this is, if people want some spice and Regulation H, I think it'll be really fun. For the preview show, one of the questions I posed was like, where's the whimsy gone? Like, let's bring back the really fun teams, and hey, we got that here. So I'm hoping we get to see more of this going into LAIC, or like crazy things like this.
I also do love that the Blaziken, so Focus Sash, Speed Boost, right? Like, Incineroar is such a problem that Blaziken, who can usually hit super hard, close combat, Flare Blitz, like all these super awesome physical attacks, is like, no, I'm gonna go special and go Aura Spear, so that way the Incineroar can't just intimidate Parting Shot me to smithereens on my Blaziken.
No, this is crazy. It's funny too because I had heard from someone else that Blaziken was an eye up going into Las Vegas, but they weren't great enough to run it in the end.
Yeah, we did see some Blazikins in the Grand Challenge that performed well, but also on this team, Sierra, does have three of Wolf's six Toronto Parish trap teams with Politoed, Gothitelle, and Archaludon. So that's why once I saw the Ludicolo instead of the Kingdra, I was like, oh, maybe this is a different development. Obviously, that grass typing helps you better into both of the Ursalunas for resisting their ground attacks, and maybe it's another spore immunity for you to have against Amoonguss and Lilligant and things. So I think, not to say it's inspired by the Paris team, but it does have Parasong on the Politoed.
Yeah, it's a cool little remix of the team. So I'm curious if this is going to get a run back, if it can have that success at a run back. I don't know if it's a team that once it's out there that people can kind of counter it a little bit more, but
All right, and then we're going to look at Kenneth's Buenos Aires winning team here with Dragonite, Rillaboom, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Goldengo, Incineroar, and Annihilate. And there's some really interesting developments throughout this format, especially last weekend, Sierra, with Annihilate. Like, so you've seen Choice Scarf, you've seen Safety Goggles, you've seen we saw a Focus Sash one as well, and they're all usually you only ever saw a final gambit on the Scarf version because you just move first and get that knockout and take the HP away. But even Joe Garte on his version had the final gambit available as well. And Taunt is so huge in this format as well that like there's like 4 or 5 viable different Annihilate sets, which is very tough to team build against, because if you're good into Safety Goggles, you might not be as good into into Focus Sash or into a different version.
yeah, it is one of the weirdest Pokemon to go up against, and one that can really quickly kind of just get out of control if you're not keeping it in check. I mean, looking over this team is just a lot of like the really good stuff. I'm trying to see one Pokemon. There it is, the Blood Moon Ursaluna. Yeah, I mean, this is just all of the standard good stuff, and winning an event, I'm not surprised at this point. Like, this is just like this most staple regulation age good stuff team that we got.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Blood Moon has Focus Sash, which is like that might literally be a max speed Ursaluna Blood Moon at that point if you're investing a Focus Sash, like because you're just not putting any defenses, right? You have Tailwind from Dragonite to make it even faster. Like the Incineroar Mirror Herb tech we've seen the last couple of events. Important to note, like Rogov's Incineroar and some other people were starting to use Clear Amulet to win the Incineroar Mirror because they had close combat, right? So you're able to you could close combat Archaludon and some other things, but you're using Incineroar to beat Incineroar basically with Clear Amulet close combat. So I wonder how the speed creep and the attack creep is going to be on Incineroars this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be the close combat on Incineroar is just wow. There was a team over the weekend that had 3 close combats on it of so many Pokemon to take super effective damage from that. And I love that we're just at that point of the game where it's 3 close combat users. Amazing. Love it. Ship it.
All right, let's see. There anything else from this top 8? There's only one Volcarona on Gonzalo's team here in finishing 7th, and that was a Pokemon that really started the weekend. I think the first 3 rounds of Vegas had Volcaronas on stream, and it was kind of just doing its Quiver Dance thing the whole time. The Terra Fairy is really good, obviously, as well. So like what are your expectations for Volcarona this weekend? It feels like a very LATAM style Pokemon.
I mean, Volcarona is a Pokemon too that we've seen during regulation age for a while. And then one that it was Sanvi that tweeted about it, right? That it's a Pokemon that, you look at it and then it goes 4-4 and then just popped off with it, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like it'll be kind of in a standard place over the weekend. It's not a Pokemon that I'm like looking at and I'm like, this is a problem. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be everywhere. It's just another strong Pokemon overall. My meta analysis is not quite there. I'm so tired right now.
That's okay. Listen, you had tough travels. It was I get it, but we're gonna take these couple days to prep and get prepared for day 1, because round 1, I'm calling it. Round 1 on stream. We got Sierra Dawn versus Juan Salerno. Okay, it's
Do
happening.
not say that. That would be so cool to face up against him. But I do not. No, no.
Oh, it feels good. Okay, let's talk about Vegas here. Let me if I can get the screen Sorry, how do you do this? I'm literally the worst every single time. Okay. Boom. There we go. So, congratulations to Dylan Salvanera winning potentially, arguably, like the craziest game 3 in like regional finals history.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was standing out in the crowd while that match happened, and there was like the second to last ice beam before the freeze happened. I don't know, like there was just like an excitement in the air, the electricity in the air. There was just like a shift in the energy, and then it just kind of ramped up until the ice beam freeze happened, and like everyone was on their feet cheering. It was unlike anything that I've experienced at a regional level. Normally at the international levels we get to see like those type of big pops offs like within the stadium and stuff, like or like out in the field, right? Or you get to see the champion and then jump off the stage, etc. You don't really see it at a regional level as much. That was just something else.
Yeah, I do. I as I was watching, my first thought, obviously it was hype watching, but my first thought was like, man, I wonder what the viewers' perspective from the TCG stream is right now. Like, they're watching TCG, they're shuffling their cards, they're doing their thing, they're having an excitement for their finals, and then you just hear absolute chaos throughout the venue, and they're like, well, this is not, they're just like using the ultra ball in our game, they're not doing anything crazy, why is everyone popping off so much? And then, oh my god, let's talk about Dylan's team, because it is kind of an interesting spot. One, Kilowattrel has been picking up in popularity, right? It just did win an event recently. Can't remember which one off the top of my head, but it did just win one prior to this, as well as P2 Ursaluna. Like, what is this, like 14 months ago, Sierra? Like, that was like the first Reg F core was P2 Ursaluna, and it kind of fell off, but now Dylan brought it back.
I mean, I'm surprised you're talking about that as opposed to the Kilowattrel on the team of all Pokemon, right? Like that Pokemon is so interesting because it kind of went under the radar for a long time and it's been slowly ramping up. We've gotten to see Henry Rich with it before, but this event was like unlike anything else.
Yeah, and it's just I mean, the electric and flying attacks are so nice, right? Like competitive, you're gonna every 60% of teams have Incineroar on it, right? So feels like 60% of the time you're gonna have a +2 boost on your air slashes or thunderbolts, and it just helps. It helps this team so much. I do think the Ursaluna had some speed investment on it from how I was watching the games. I'm not sure how Dylan trained it, but like that tailwind does very much help, because there were multiple times he was bringing Ursaluna in without Porygon on the field, right? Like trying to just use Ursaluna as a regular attacker instead of a Trick Room attacker. And I think this Kilowattrel is also a Pokemon that Len has been very pro on, like using it in tournaments, using it on his Tyranitar and Corviknight teams there. So I think it is a Pokemon that like it's almost Whimsicott like without Prankster. You know what I mean? Because you just want to get Tailwind and get knocked out, and then let your sweepers like Golden Go or Ursaluna carry the rest.
Okay, well, I mean, looking at the rest of the Las Vegas teams, I mean, even just the second place team, like Zachary Weed has been somebody that has been doing really, really well in the circuit for a bit. And again, looking at this team, a Pokemon that has quite a bit of good stuff to it. But King Gambit is a Pokemon that's kind of fallen out of favor for quite a bit. So it's a Pokemon that I like didn't expect to be out of meta, don't get me wrong. But getting second place, I think, was a little bit surprising for King Gambit, in my opinion. I mean, when you look at the amount of Pokemon that will like just resist a dark type attack with some of these terrestrializations, the fairy types, etc. When you look at all the fighting type Pokemon, it's a Pokemon that feels a little hard posed to pop off.
Yeah, I was very surprised seeing King Gambit. I mean, I was a fan of it the last go around. For the first regulation H, there was the triple steel trio, right? That were on. It was on like 90% of teams. Like 90% of teams had either a King Gambit, Golden Go, or Archaladon, like very consistently. And then King Gambit really started to fall. And I think one of the reasons it can come back in this position is the decline of Archaladon. Archaladon falling off of the usage charts. it was just such a bad matchup into that body press as a dark steel type, right? Like, I felt you had to Terra every game. Every counts out cleave was doing less and less damage because of the stamina boost. So I do think there is definitely a tie between the Archaludon decrease in usage and Kingambit being on the uprise.
See, looking at this team, one of the things that I really liked, but also we got to see it being a detriment in the finals, was the Life Orb on this Alolan Ninetales. I mean, people have talked about the damage of Specs Ninetales in the past, and this is just kind of a step down from that, being able to still have the utility moves that protect. So, yeah, protect's awesome, as well as something like that Encore. It was just something that when you are facing off against a team that recover, we saw it kind of stalled out, but obviously just a lot of utility, just a lot of pop off potential. Like a life or Blizzard can just do so much. I like this Ninetales.
Yeah, I do want to see how Ninetales, because I know we started off a while ago where people are using specs and just more offensive. And this one, it doesn't even have Aurora Veil, right? In my head, I see a Ninetales and I just think it has Aurora Veil because it's so good at setting it up. And just, I guess there's just too much weather going on right now. You'd rather have the Life Orb boosted Blizzards or Moonblast than trying to mitigate the damage. And not that, Zach's team is too bulky in general with, besides maybe Incineroar and Rovum. I think the Choice Scarf Basculegion, like usually you will see Basculegion on rain teams, and this one is not, so it doesn't need the Swift Swim. You just go for the adaptability, but not Terra Water. I would imagine it's probably for like the Dragonite matchup, so you can be immune to Scale Shot, because that's one of the Dragonite team's best answers is to just like, okay, take the Wave Crash, and then you just OHKO Basculegion in response with the Scale Shot. So I wonder how many times that matchup came up for Zach over the weekend, because who knows? We get into that game 3 at the end. Maybe Terra Water would have been doing a little bit more damage on those Aqua Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I like the utility because the thing is, too, when you're eyeing up, if you're worried about these dark type attacks, if you're worried about Sucker Punch, then I like the Terastallization, too, because of that. But yeah, I mean, I think too, like the situation, the game up against Dylan, like I said, like, oh, the Ninetales, like it feels bad. It was like that way in the finals, or like the Basculegion, you say, yeah, like that having Terra Water or something would have been nice. But at the same time, like it's a team that got second place. They're teams that like it had a lot of utility in what it was doing. So it's like, yeah, maybe in like that moment, that very, very hyper specific moment, it felt bad. But obviously, a team that putting in work.
Yeah, and we can look at some of the other teams here in Top Cut. I want to go over Oliver's team, who got ninth here. The first Venusaur spotting or sighting, I should say, in quite some time. We all thought it was going to be great when it came in through the DLC, right? With as a chlorophyll user, and people just use Hisuian Lilligant, or they'll use Jumpluff, or whatever. And I was very surprised to see Oliver bring out the Venusaur. We kind of joked, Aaron and I, that this was like a Dynamax team because it's got Venusaur and Dusclops and on it. Feels like from last generation. But I hope Venusaur continues to pop off, because I do think it is in a really good spot.
It's an interesting Pokemon. I'm think this might be more of an Oliver special as opposed to a pop off or like anything else like that will like get to see any sort of lasting meta implications. I don't think like we're nearing the end of Regulation H. It's a Pokemon that has not really been talked about or done much with the entire format. I don't think people are going to pick it up in less than a week to play at LAIC, right? It'd be cool if we got to see it, but I just don't think it's happening.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and this definitely feels like maybe this is just an Oliver diff here, because this is the Focus Sash Annihilate we were talking about, the head coaching Scale Shot, make those 5 hits do even more damage. And I like the Dusclops adjustment here because that allows Dragonite to drop Haze. Now you have the extra room for Extreme Speed or Ice Spinner. We saw that it literally helped Oliver win his set, that he had Extreme Speed and the other Dragonite did not. So Dusclops also Terra Dark means you're really good into those size spam hard Trick Room teams, because they literally pretty much cannot touch Dusclops every time. So maybe this is an Oliver special, but I hope to see Oliver do well with it this weekend.
I hope so. That would be That'd be cool. So as you pull up the next team, I'm going to get
Yes.
the lemon bar from my bag because this is what
Okay.
0 hours sleep does.
Sounds it. That's what happens. That's it. You're a professional. You're powering through, and that's what we
I'm a
appreciate here.
professional.
All right, we're gonna talk about, speaking of professional, my favorite professional, Mr. Joseph Ugarte's Sand team. It's finally time to have the conversation about Tyranitar here. I know this just from my own personal perspective. I did get coaching. Shout outs to the X9 Academy when I was playing in Pittsburgh because I was using a sand team very similar to this. And I kid you not, literally one of the teams during my coaching session with Joe, when I was showing him the core that I was building around, now it was a little different because I had Armarouge and Indeedee Female that, were on the team, but this was almost exactly the team that Joe was like suggesting to try to build. Like we started with T-Tar and we changed out another Pokemon for Sneasler, and I had the extra drill, and he was like, oh, Corviknight, what if you did Indeedee Male instead of Indeedee Female? And I was like, I don't know. And then here I see Joe, getting top cut, and he's been using this team pretty consistently over the last a little bit, but it is funny that like I was there for like the beginning ideas of this core.
You were there. You were there. I mean, I am still loving the irony of like Joe is like the Sun player, right? Like people talk about Marco's Sun, but it wasn't a team that he like consistently piloted for like ever, right? Like he moved on. Joe did not move on from Joe's Sun. He stuck by that. He found it and he did not leave this team side. Even tweeted about leaving the team side, didn't, still brought it to another event. Then the one event that everyone plays Sun, and I mean everyone plays Sun. Joe is not there. Joe is gone. He just turns out to instead be like the only person with this like playing Sand, other than Len. But like Len's just known quantity. We know that, right? But like other than that, the only player playing Sand. Like Sand is just not considered to be strong by those right now. Like that player survey I was talking about, I asked what the strongest weather is. Not a single person said Sand, by the way.
Really?
Not a
Wow.
single person. So yeah, to see this team in action was very cool.
See, that's very surprising to me because obviously I'm obviously playing up the bit a little bit with Tyranitar on the stream, right? Like we're having a little fun, but like I really do think Tyranitar is in a great spot in this format. As I said, it hits all of the top 12 usage super effectively in some way. Joe literally outsped Goldengo and OHKO'd it with knockoff that his opponent was not expecting. So just the power of Speedy T-Tar there, like. I think Sand, you hit the other three weather setters super effectively with Rock Slide, literally on all of them. Like, I think it is, maybe people are too tied to trying to make it work with Extra Drill, right? And Corviknight and making it like a Sand core, because for people that like, all the people that are using Ninetales, you're not really using snow at all, right? Like you're able to get rid of the other weathers by swapping in and out, but you're not sweeping with Titan or Alolan Sandslash or something the way that people are trying to sweep with Extra Drill thanks to T-Tar. So could somebody make a Tyranitar team where it's just a piece, an anti-weather piece on a core instead of trying to have a whole Sand team revolve around it?
We've seen that though. We've seen Tyranitar in non-full
Not
Sun teams,
enough.
non-full Sand teams.
I know, I'm just saying not enough. I think it's in a really good spot right now.
My bad. My bad.
Now, I mean, there are 14 close combats on every team now, I understand, but that's why you're terrifying, baby.
Okay. I mean, you're talking about playing up the bit with Tyranitar. I think one of my favorite moments was like you and Yuki in the analyst desk, and Yuki's like terrified and like holds the Tyranitar up like it's flying, and then gets KO'd. Oh no, it fell. Like, let's talk about the analyst desk because
Okay,
that was
let's do
something
it.
that debuted for the first time at the Las Vegas Regional Championship. So for context, like we'll sometimes do analysis and stuff, but it's normally at the lounge with the host, so we don't have like a telestrator or anything fancy. But this event, we got a whole desk for it. We had a telestrator. You were brought out to do that.
Yeah, I think I was very nervous going into this. I'm just literally, I'm not gonna lie to anyone else. I was very nervous about the analyst position because typically, when you watch traditional sports, a lot of times it's like a former NFL quarterback is the one that's breaking down the plays, or you'll have like a former pitcher for a baseball analyst, and he's showing like why these pitches were good and stuff like that, right? And so I was worried that I'm confident enough in my own skill and knowledge in the game, but there's definitely people on the team that have more experience or are more analytically driven than I am. So I was worried how that was going to go over, and from what I saw, for the most part, people were enjoyed the segment. Like, I think I was trying to provide analysis, but I was also trying to really focus on entertainment as much as I could, because ideally, if you wanted just an analysis, there are other people that can do that better, but I was hoping to try to marry analyzing the matchup and what the good key plays were, but also like keeping people entertained. And I think I did okay for the most part. I'd say it was a success. We'll see how the position develops over time, but I don't know.
No, I think it was cool. I think it was like well received. Like in the future too, is like we get more comfortable with like the Telestrator and everything, like being able to like the way the clips are pulled, be able to do more drawings and like all of that stuff. But I think for like a test run, like it went absolutely fantastic. It was also too nice because it was a structured segment at the end of every game, as opposed to, oh no, this game was 2-0'd. What do we do? Do we go play a fun game? What do we like? Nothing wrong with fun games. They're fun
Yeah.
games. But at the same time, to be able to have a segment where it was like, hey, this is like a dedicated breakdown, I think it's just useful for a lot of like trainers, especially people who are looking to compete more, even just hop into competing, to be able to actually go over things and explain things that we maybe can't really touch upon in like broadcast itself.
Yeah, I think there were some really funny like moments too, some like behind the scenes things that people might enjoy. Like the first, so there was some kind of disconnect between the machine and what was going to the live feed, because people kept saying like, oh, you should be drawing stuff, and like, when I got out there, like, use the Telestrator more, and I'm like, I was like, you can literally see me using like I was like writing numbers and stuff, and it just wasn't coming up to the live feed. It was showing up on the machine, but it wasn't showing up on the live feed. So like 6 rounds in a row, people were like, oh, it'd be so cool if Joe was like drawing lines and stuff. And I was like, I promise I am. There was no proof. There was no proof until like the latter rounds of day one, but like that was cool. It was hard to try to find good moments to try to write stuff too, because you could just be like, oh, okay, so he's gonna attack here and then they'll attack there. Like, you wanted to have fun usage of the thing. But the best part on day 2, so obviously I was rooting for Joe to win, right? That's my guy, but also for my Tyranitar bit, I also wanted. So I got the
you
plush. I put him
with rooting for
on
him.
on the stage, and so Jake was with me in the analyst lounge for that segment, and so I told Jake, I was like, hey, when they toss to me, I'm gonna be silent for like a couple seconds. Don't get weirded out. Like, I can still hear, like, and I didn't tell production on it. I didn't tell him I was gonna do the bit, but I told Jake, so he was in on it. So they tossed to me, and I'm just like, I look at Jake, and then like production was like, you're live, like in my in my head. It's like, and then I look at T-Tar, and I just slowly take it off the desk because Joe got eliminated. And then afterwards, I went up to our director. He was like, well played. Well, like, he thought maybe I couldn't hear him or something, but no, I was doing a bit. I knew as long as Joe was in the tournament, I was gonna keep the T-Tar up there. But the moment if he lost, I was gonna do that bit, and I got some messages about that too, that they thought that was like the funniest moment from the analyst lounge the whole weekend.
I missed that one. That's a good one. You'll have to post the clip.
Yeah, it was like the fallen soldier, like pour one out. And the heartbreak, actually literally losing to Torkoal. Like, it's like, what are we going to do with Joe at this point?
Yeah, there was a tweet. It was like messiest breakup ever, because Joe tweeted about breaking up with Torkoal.
Yeah.
Brings sand, loses to Torkoal.
It definitely feels like a daytime drama, like the soap operas, like Torkoal's getting his revenge on Joe. Because now, can you even go back to Sun? Does Joe have to become a rain player at this point? Like, I don't even know what Joe can do.
Yeah, we'll have to see at LAIC the final show.
One thing I like, we didn't have a lot of time together. We had one analyst segment, but then we also got to kill time in the lounge on day 2. And I think If we talk about that real quick, like basically, I just want to let everyone know whenever we're in the lounge between games, like we're just literally trying to kill time to keep people entertained. Sure, we provide our analysis, we try to sound smart, we try to sound engaged or whatever, but like when I saw the Moo Moo milk toss thing, and like Dwee didn't even react to it. He was being a professional as he should. He's the host, right? He's introducing the segment or whatever. And so in my head, I was like, I don't know if we have 5 minutes or 15 minutes in the lounge that we have to kill right now. I was like, but I'm gonna help make this bit a thing. And then it was like, production, we rack that back, and they actually did do the replay of it. Like, I thought that was so awesome.
No, the production is just awesome. They listen to us. They try and make things funny as well. That was funny. That entire segment was just completely unhinged. Like we just lost the plot. In all honesty, sometimes it's like that. But it was a lot of fun. And for the record as well, me and Dwee ended up going to play the milk toss, and they even filmed it to then even use at the end of the day. Like we were like, throw the ball, hit a milk bottle, and we're both jumping up and down for joy. Like really goofy, but they didn't end up using it. But like,
yeah, I was heartbroken because they told us they were going to put in the end of show, a little fun recap at the end or whatever with the credits. So like we were all watching intently through the credits, waiting for this moment, and I guess they didn't get the footage in time.
It didn't happen, or we missed it. But it's like that. But speaking of like just fun with production, so a little backstage like lore for everyone. I don't know what it was. I had a lot of energy this weekend. I also just naturally I don't know, like I get sidetracked. I get things stuck in my mind, anything else. And for some reason, the only thing I did the entire week of backstage was just sing like Gnarly by Cat's Eye. And it was everyone else's problem to deal with me.
Yep.
Bless Jake. I would keep going like Gnarly, and he would do it back, or I'd be like, Jake, guess what? And he's like, what? I'm like, we're going out tonight. Or like both of us were singing it, like he was singing with me. It was just like great. And then we were like, production will like jokingly like joke with us sometimes, or like when it like there's a B-roll or a song playing, production in her ear, Cam's like, you gotta sing with us, show 'em what you got, and like they'll sing too. Yeah, so like there's always just like little jokes with that. So we're like about to go live, and I like press my talk back to production. I'm like, hey Cam, guess what? He's like, what? I'm like, we're going out tonight, gang. And he's like, cool, awesome. Then he's like,
nice dude.
Yeah, like literally, I think nice dude might have been the exact words. And he's like, I feel like the grandpa when like a kid's like talking about something you don't know anything about, and you're like, that's great, buddy, good for you. And then like day 2, again, we're like about to go live, and I'm like, Cam, look at the cameras, because they can see us all the time. And he's like, I'm looking, we're like, is Jake start doing that too? It's like the gnarly thing from the song. And me and Jake both start doing that to the camera, and Cam's just like, what? Because he just doesn't know the reference. Right?
He's not hip.
Yeah, so we're a lot of jokes. Normally he's the one singing to us or whatnot, but we're pranking him back this weekend.
Dude, yeah, Cam is literally the best. He's so awesome in our whenever he says silly things in our ear. Also, shout out to production too. They came up. Now I know it seemed to be a struggle for the rest of the casters to say Joe Brown breakdown. It seemed like everyone was saying everything except for what the segment was called. But shout outs to Dan on the production team. That was his idea. I was just going to call it the analyst area the whole weekend, and on TCG they called it trainer tips with Chip. So like they decides like we basically have to give everybody a good nickname for whenever they host the analyst area.
Yeah, I tried to throw it to Joe Brown, and it's funny because I can't say for the others, but like I know when I was told to throw it, he said, "Now time to throw to the Joe Down breakdown." And so he said the whole thing to me so I could remember it, and then I instantly forgot it. So I was like, now it's time for the Joe Brown throwdown, beatdown. I just tossed it. Whatever. It
Yeah.
is just fun. I didn't realize the others were also getting it wrong. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Dwee said like 4 different things and when he was tossing from interviews, and every time I was just like playing into the bits, and I was like, yeah, you got it right, Dwee, you nailed it
Yeah, you got it.
first
You got
try.
it. Oh my goodness. But yeah, anything else from Vegas or Buenos Aires or even for upcoming LAIC? Because we're about an hour in. We got a question
No,
of the
yeah,
week
I'll
to
say
do,
I feel
and
like
I
we
have either
covered.
food to get or a nap to take because I am hungry and tired.
I hope it's not both at the same time. I don't want you to wake
I
up
got
with
bad
pizza on your
news. I got
face.
bad news. It's both.
All
I
right, well,
don't
make
know
sure you eat first.
which one I'll do first. But if
Yeah,
I eat, then I can't sleep well.
well, I think we've covered everything we need to here on our previous show. We do have a question of the week though, just a little quick
Yeah.
one, and obviously since it
Watch.
is the ending of Regulation H, of course it's Sneasler related. So for anyone who've made it to the end of our podcast, thank you so much for listening all the way through. At the end of every week, we answer a question of the week from one of our friends in our Discord. Join our link, join the Discord linked down below. And if you have any burning questions you would love Joe or Sierra, speaking in third person here, to answer, then please write those in our question of the week channel. This one comes from Pluto, and I think it's a very fair question. Just saying that it's a genuine question. They're confused that, why, basically, TLDR, why were people so hyped for the Ice Beam freeze at the end when people are so very vocal about being frustrated with Dire Claw? And the question is, aren't those both RNGs that impact the game? And I think this could be a really good discussion for us to have.
Yeah. I think for myself, I think any level of RNG to the game, as much as they can be frustrating, it is also exciting, right? Because it's then an unexpected thing that happened. Think of like a jump scare in a horror movie that you didn't anticipate as opposed to the ending that you kind of expected, right? Like you could argue that you hate the jump scare, but it had its intended effect. And that's like how I kind of look at just RNG in general in the game. There's a lot of RNG that I don't like and that I don't like when things necessarily are decided by a critical hit, but there is always going to be a level of, oh my gosh, what just happened? That because of that, right? I think the situation too is so I think just in general, all RNG is just exciting because it's an unexpected outcome. Even if that exciting is bad exciting sometimes. I think the biggest difference with like the dire claws as opposed to the ice beam as well is the RNG that has a low percentage chance feels bad because you just got unlucky. And you are getting hit by ice beam 12 turns in a row, statistically, you're probably going to hit it, right? We've no longer hit the unlucky odds. We've now hit into you're more likely to freeze it. I think it's I think when it's staggered, because it's not like it adds 10% every time, isn't it? Like, I'm not
Yeah,
good
they
at
said
math.
it was something like it was
63%, I think it was.
something like, yes, over 60% chance that one of those 11 ice beams would freeze.
Yeah. So at that point, you're more likely to hit it, right? Um, So then there you go. Like you're all of a sudden you no longer got into the negative 50% NRG. You got into this statistically this is more likely to happen, which is a huge difference in that. And as well, it was the fashion in which it happened and the timing of it. It was the last possible turn that it could have happened. And it did, right? Like that is gonna be very different than a freeze that was at the very beginning because the whole suspense is led up to that, right? Which is then again just crazy.
Yeah, I think for where I understand the confusion and people complaining about RNG, I think Dire Claw in this situation are just worlds apart. Like literally, yes, they both have percentage chances of secondary effects happening, but they're just not even remotely close. So for example, most of the frustration with Dire Claw has been, especially when Sneasler was peak 60% usage, was you were just fishing for a status condition, right? You were just like, I'm going to click it and see what happens, which is not which is not a fun game plan to play against. It's not fun from the viewer's perspective because it's hard to analyze like, oh, they need specifically a paralysis and they need specifically a poison or whatever. Like, no, they're like, I'm going to click it because there's nothing that's stopping me from clicking it, and hopefully something positive happens. And it's 50% chance of happening instead of a 10% freeze, right? So that's like the first big difference, is that oftentimes clicking Dire Claw was just like to see what happened, compared to Ice Beam Freeze or a double protect of 30% chance, or like those are win conditions that somebody has to get a low chance effect to happen. The only way you're going to break this +6 Archaludon that has 20% HP remaining is if you critically hit, right? That's a 6% chance of happening. That's not, I have a 50% chance of something positive happening for me. We'll find out once I click the button. And you mentioned how clicking Ice Beam 11 times, you're going to get the freeze eventually. The excitement, like, people would not have popped off as much if Basculegion had 60% health left and got frozen and then didn't thaw for 9 consecutive turns, right? That's not as exciting, and then you would feel more bad about the RNG because, like, oh, you won because of a 10%, you never thawed from it. But it was the scenario of he tried 10 times before, did not get it, and on the literal last millisecond that he could, he was going to lose the regional if he didn't finally get one freeze. It's the whole context of everything. So to me, I really don't think they're too similar. Like, do you think in the moment, if let's say the finals is, Dylan and Zach, and he needs a Dire Claw sleep to win, people would be as excited as him needing the Ice Beam freeze?
It's different scenarios. I think, like, because what I was going to follow up with, because when I'm saying is a higher statistical chance, that, like, if you keep clicking Dire Claw, like, the chances go higher. Like, if it's like, oh, whatever. So the argument could be, well, why isn't it still exciting? And it's because, like, I feel like Dire Claw, it can just happen at any time, any place, anywhere, no matter what you do, where that's going to be an inherent frustrating thing. You can just lead the game, they get the Dire Claw sleep, and then that's just done. Whereas on the opposing end for the Ice Beam, I'm getting like warnings of like device status.
We're good. We're wrapping up after your sentence here. We're wrapping up. You're
I'm
good.
trying to talk fast. Okay. Okay. So essentially, like the Dire Claw can happen like at any point, even if not playing to the out. Dylan and Zach found themselves in this scenario where like that was like the situation. It's not common. It doesn't happen often, so it's very uncommon. So we can go into this next week if people want to like talk more about it. I think this is a really cool Discord discussion. But my phone is screaming at me right now, and I do not want to lose this episode. So we're gonna wrap this up.
I'm gonna close this out. Sierra, I wish you the best of luck. Everyone in the Discord, please wish Sierra luck this weekend at LAIC. We're gonna end real quickly here. Thank you so much for making it through. We've had a lot of fun discussions, a lot of great time in Vegas. Hopefully LAIC is gonna live up to all of our expectations. Who's gonna get more predictions right? You'll find out next week on our next episode of the OHKO podcast.